G'day guys, Jason here, and time for another 5-minute lesson. Hey, today I want to go through finance and unpacking that a little bit when it comes to our buying power and what's called serviceability. There's two parts in the finance world when you go to a bank or a mortgage broker, or even if you want to work out some things, how you can improve your ability to purchase investment properties or get a loan. I'm going to go through the two parts and then we can put them together and work out what that might look like for us. So let's start with the easy one, which is buying power. Buying power means what deposits do you have, the amount of cash or savings. Do you have some cash or savings laying around? What equity in properties, maybe other properties or other investments that you might be able to use for deposits. So you can use cash, you can use equity, savings obviously. For some people, especially first homeowners, you can get grants. Queensland right now has got a $20,000 grant. Many of the states have got certain incentives or grants for first homeowners, stamp duty concessions and so on. And like me, when I first started out, I had to borrow a couple of dollars from my dad. He lent me 50 grand. I paid him back, but my first deposit came from my family. So where can you get the deposit from? How much deposit do you have? So what cash do you have to put down? And then loan to value ratio means what level, loan to value ratio percentage are you going to borrow? Often, most people look between 80, 90, or even 95% of the property's value they would like to borrow against. So the bigger the loan to value ratio, when the loan to value ratio is higher or lower, if you have a low loan to value ratio, you need a bigger deposit. If you have a high loan to value ratio, you'll need a smaller deposit. So if you have $100,000, you'll be able to get maybe a $400,000 property at 80%. And if you can borrow at 95%, you might be able to get a sort of a $700,000 or $800,000 property with the same money, $100,000. So loan to value ratio is important, and it's a ratio of deposit times the borrowing. Where can you get that from? Now that's the simple one, that's the easy one. The tough one is what's called serviceability. Basically, what income comes into your life, and there's a calculation. The lenders will have certain calculators and certain ways they analyze this versus the expenses you have in your life, and can you afford another loan based on what you're trying to buy and so on. Now, every single lender is different in totality, but they have some little tweaks along the way. So some are a bit easier and some a bit harder and so on. And that's why it's so important to use someone who can help you understand which lender to go to for what type of loan and where you're buying and so on. Now listen, your job and career adds value, obviously. You get an income. If you have a permanent job, a permanent role, it's much easier to look good at the bank or the financier to get a loan and lend some money. Rents. The rent coming in from your properties adds value. You buy an investment property and in comes the rent, which is great. So that adds now value, adds income, adds serviceability to your borrowing ability or your lending ability as you go forward. Getting your tax back. This is a pretty cool one. Some lenders will allow the tax back to be income as well, because you do get it back and it's real money, so you can add that to your serviceability. Some lenders do, some lenders don't. And this is the thing. Some lenders will only allow 80% of the rent to be put towards your servicing. Some will allow 100% of it. Some will allow zero of the tax back put towards your servicing. Some will allow all of the tax back to be put towards your servicing. So this is where it gets down to the nitty-gritty. For a property investor, you've got to know, and you've got to have people on your side who understand lending, serviceability, buying power, and so on to get you the loan or get you the right loan for your circumstances. And any other investment income. You might have some shares or whatever it might be. That investment income comes in. So they're big ticks in the box when it comes to your serviceability. They add to your serviceability. The downside of servicing or cash flow or income versus expenses is there are things that take away from your serviceability. Debts, my definition is a bad debt, all right? It's a credit card, it's something, a car loan, a boat loan, a holiday loan, a furniture loan, anything that has negative value, negative cash flow, nothing coming in from it. You've got a debt and everything goes out. There's no tax deductions, there's no income, there's no growth. Those things take away, they minus from your serviceability. So you might have good income, but you've gone and bought a car, a jet ski, and a boat, and then your income's depleted. Credit cards are the worst. Credit cards destroy your ability to borrow. $10,000 credit card will wipe out anywhere between $50,000 and $100,000 worth of investment borrowing. Okay, so get rid of those credit cards or put them down to $1,000 or even $500 limits. If you've got any defaults, we had an experience the other day where we're helping someone get a loan. A $150 phone default from many years ago stopped them getting a loan and it messed up their serviceability. So fix up any of that sort of defaults. If you have a property that's really heavy negative cash flow. Now, we're big fans of positive cash flow after tax, not negative cash flow properties. If you have a property that's really negative cash flow, that'll take away from your servicing and won't allow you to move forward. Last but not least, and I put this down the bottom as a bit of a joke, not really a joke, but a bit of a funny, dependents, your kids. If you're planning on having children, when you have a child, your serviceability changes. So it's important if you're planning a family and you want to buy a home and so on, understand planning in the future, planning 12, 18 months, 2 years, 4 years, 5 years ahead. Children change your serviceability. They also reduce often one of the parents' ability to earn for a period of time. So guys, there you go. Today I took you through the idea of buying power, deposits divided by or using the LVRs as a ratio, and serviceability, the tricky one. How do we service more lending or appropriate lending for you, and making sure we add value in here. If you can get your interest, if you can get your income up, if you can get your rents up, if you can get all of these things up, that adds value too. So there you go, guys. Quick 5-minute lesson today. Hope that was useful. As always, give us a shout out down below and put in maybe some more lessons that you want to hear from us. And thanks for your comments and feedback. If you want to know more, track us down, come to one of our live events. Till then, bye for now.